Alright folks, welcome to the TheIntelFrog Report for Monday, December the 12th, 2022. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe so that you can get notified of new videos as they drop. I'll be putting out videos Mondays and Thursdays. So let's start off over here at ADSB Exchange. We've got about 237, 238 aircraft that are showing currently. That's about average. The average seems to be anywhere from 250 to 300, so it's on the lower end of normal. Let's take a look and see what we have up here. We got 10 P8s up. We had 14 up earlier. A lot of activity over here out of NAS Jacksonville and also out of NAS Whidbey Island here in the northwest. Let's take a look at heavy lift aircraft. This is C5s, C-17s, and C-130s. We've got 36 of those bad boys up across the country. A lot of stuff being moved, a lot of equipment being moved. We are rotating troops into Europe, so there's a lot of movement for that as well. Take a look at tankers. This is KC-10s, KC-46s, and KC-135s. We've got 19 up, which is a little low. Anywhere from 20 to 30 seems to be about the average for a weekday. Tankers generally are fueling fighters, but there's also a bunch of other aircraft that could potentially be getting fueled as well. So tankers don't always mean fighters. We've got a pair of tankers here coming across Colorado. Sometimes the tankers will just pass fuel between each other, just so that they can get the requisite number of hookups, disconnects, and flight time. Let's take a look at special use airspace that's active currently. Whoop, too far. There we go. A lot of activity off the Florida Straits here. Tarpon Range, Whiskey 174 warning area complex. They operate out of Key West there. There's a whole mess of aggressors and Navy aircraft that operate down there. We still have this box off the Baja California. Let's see what else we've got. I don't see anything else that's keeping my attention. Let's take a look at Cobra 62. Departed off it yesterday evening. Went across the Atlantic. But before it did that, it refueled with the KC-135 just off the coast of Maine here. You can see where the tracks line up together, Pico 53 and Cobra 62. Bear with me as I switch screens here. So it ended up in NSA Suda Bay, Greece. Oh, Twitter's. Let's take a look at headlines. The Air Force news: B-2 stealth bomber was damaged during emergency landing at Whiteman Air Force Base. This will be the second incident in as many years. About 15 months ago, back in September of 2021, they had a similar incident where B-2 made an emergency landing and then skidded off the runway. One of the landing gear collapsed and it was left wing down. You can see. Oh, that didn't really make it bigger. It's actually smaller. But you can see it was left wing down just off the runway here. Runway's right behind it. That did $10 million worth of damage. This incident that just happened the other day, there was also a post-crash fire So we don't know how bad the damage is to the aircraft yet, if it's salvageable. We haven't seen any photos of the aircraft yet. We're still waiting for satellite imagery to come back of that. The Army and the Air Force want to send Reaper drones to Ukraine, but the Pentagon's not so sure. So the Pentagon has put the brakes on sending Reaper drones to Ukraine, even though the Air Force and the Army have been trying to divest themselves of the older Reaper drones. Part of the concern is that some of these drones, if they went to Ukraine, would ultimately get shot down and fall into Russian hands. We don't. The Pentagon is concerned about the technology falling into Russian hands, so to speak. So that's why they put the brakes on that. There was a shooting today at Fort Stewart, Georgia. One person was injured. The authorities have not released the condition of that individual, but they do have one person in custody. This happened at the 2nd Brigade Combat Team Complex around 10 a.m. this morning. So we're still waiting to hear how bad the injury is for the shooting. U.S. Coast Guard news, they rescued a 60-year-old kayaker who overturned in Bellingham Bay. Marine Corps news, Marine pilot arrested in Australia treated as high-risk prisoner. So the U.S. authorities have asked the Australians to arrest a former U.S. Marine Corps pilot. And the Australians are wanting to treat him as an extreme high-risk prisoner as he awaits possible extradition to the United States on undisclosed charges. They haven't released what the charges are, but the arrest came as Australia was investigating whether any of its former troops had been recruited to train Chinese military pilots. There's been a string of arrests of former U.S. pilots who have tried to train Chinese military pilots as well. U.S. Navy fires laser to repel Iranian Navy, looks to employ high-energy laser weapons on warships. So on Monday, in the Strait of Hormuz, the USS The Sullivans, which is a Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, you can see here, was escorting the Expeditionary Sea Base Lewis B. Puller, which is this ship right here, through the Strait of Hormuz at night when Iranian Revolutionary Guard small boats shined spotlights onto the bridges of the aircraft or the ships, doing an unprofessional and I forget what the word is, but basically being unprofessional at sea is what the U.S. is accusing them of. They use audible warding devices as well as a laser to ward them off. It doesn't really say in the article what kind of laser, and it goes on to talk about how the Navy wants to field high-energy directed weapon laser weapons on warships in the future. Let's take a look at the ports around the country. We can see Port of LA and Long Beach is fairly busy today. We've got several ships that are out here at the anchorage just waiting to get in. And it looks like we've got several ships that are in being loaded, unloaded. Just looking at where these originated from. Let's take a look at Savannah. See how the backup is on the East Coast. Whoops. So they've still got a couple dozen ships out here that are just waiting to get in. That has shrunken from a high of around 42 ships, 43 ships I think was the highest that I've counted. Now it looks like maybe 20 ships out here. Oh, I forgot to cover. I was just looking over and making sure I could cover everything. So off the coast of Baja California, we have that red box for activity, military activity. And I made a little video of the activity here that we saw on Friday in this area. Omega 71 is a DoD contract refueler. Horse 60 is a KC-10. N407AX and N405AX are KFIRs from Airborne Tactical Advantage Company. N334AX and N336AX and its wingman are Hawker Hunters from the same company. The FST birds are go by call sign Flytron. They're electronic warfare and DoD contract aggressors. You can see it looks like they were doing some practice strafing runs or attack runs on some ships. And I couldn't find any ships, any Navy ships that had their AIS on in this area, so I've been talking about it and it hasn't been showing. So we can see some of the activity that was going on here. Alright folks, that's going to wrap it up for the TheIntelFrog Report today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment. Bye for now.